And we're live. We're on YouTube. I did it, guys. We did it. All right, I'm going to...
Oh, I have my new account needs to subscribe to it too.
What's up?
There.
You should get on camera for your birthday, Ariel.
What?
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, Faye. You're a little quiet, Miss Doney. There we go. All right. I have to remember to call you Doney today because Koo is here. Doney and Koo.
Hey, I'm watching now.
Awesome.
This is so meta.
It is? All right. Okay, I'm going to add Craig, and we're going to have a regular episode. Also, don't forget about BART. Everyone should participate in search engine optimization keyword stuff during the show. Way better than after. Also, add URLs with priority. They will give us the most search engine optimization bang for our buck.
Are you making the new episode, or would you like me to?
What do you mean?
For Bart.
Oh, you know what? If you know, you know what? Please do the honors, Sheridan.
Just open discussion.
Now recording.
Yeah, welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable.
Hold on. I would like to also start streaming.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. I'll give you.
Okay, started.
Welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable. It is 12/24, Friday, September 4th in the year 2020. I have Ariel, Faye Doney, Faye Koo, and Sheridan here with me. My name is Shale, and we are here to bridge gaps in the basic income advocacy community, talk about basic income, poverty, and electoral politics. How's everybody doing today?
Awesome! It's my birthday.
Right. Congratulations on living another year, Ariel. You are an essential part of the show. Thank you so much for all the work you've put in. You have really developed the character of the show. You've helped develop the direction, the tone, and you have been on more episodes than probably anyone other than me. So thank you for all the work and time and energy, and for putting so much of yourself into the show. You've become an indispensable part of it.
Really appreciate that. You know, like, but actually, just like when it's your birthday on every other year, it's like, well, I mean, there's really no good going on, but literally, I've survived.
Right? That's sometimes when people ask how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm surviving America, and I'm grateful for it. What more can one ask? Right?
Right. I told my class yesterday, it's another day in 2020, and everyone understood.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny, but as they say in the old days, you know, whatever doesn't kill you, you know, makes you stronger. So just like the nuking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like our generation with Andrew Yang can come out of this like better than ever, you know.
One would hope.
Like,
right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Traumatic growth for the entire American society.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if Hiroshima and Nagasaki could survive the nuke, hopefully, you know, because you do see the pictures of like before the nuke, like when it was nuked and after. And yeah, so I don't know. It's like 3 more months to go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2020. 4 if you count this month. But hey, yeah.
So, there is something pretty significant that happened.
So what are you going to be doing for your birthday, Ariel? Something special, I hope.
Probably like a restaurant. And then a new fridge is coming. Oh yeah. So my kind of like little drone photography thing is kind of like up and kicking. So Ariel's is a go, and I've changed my Twitter name to Ariel's too, because I just thought it was more appropriate. And I've kind of like because like Ariel's our motto was a little something. I just thought like I always wanted to be like in charge of something and like a captain. So like that's why I kind of used that name. But now that I kind of like want to build up this drone thing professionally, it's like I'm leaning all into that, because like I always wanted to like fly helicopters and planes, but learning it is just like so damn expensive. But drones is within my budget. It's like that's like the closest I can get to aviation without actually like physically being in the air, but kind of like having an eye in the sky, like an extension of myself. So yeah, like I always loved everything to do with like that kind of stuff. Like the reason why I love aviation so much is like it's basically like the ultimate in freedom, where it's like you have 3 dimensions, you don't have 2, and you can come and go as you please. Like on the ground, like, you know, something gets in your way, whether it's like a stoplight, a car, traffic, a parking space to find. But it's like the sky doesn't have those limits, and it's like you come and go as you please without having to like, you know, things. So kind of like my personal affinity for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like how the ocean used to be for people. It felt like freedom, and now
Right.
it's going to be in the. I feel like kind of like a lot of our freedoms have been lost.
Yeah,
It's hard to feel free almost anywhere.
right. Well, here's the thing, right? I said that just because like you have the right to do something doesn't mean you have the ability. So a right means absolutely nothing if you don't have the ability. Like if you had the right to free speech, but I don't know, you had like you were being silenced through all platforms of like social media. And oh yeah, here's what I said. Like, okay, so if money is speech right now, we like it's freedom of speech, but what about freedom of reach? The more money you have, the more you can amplify your voice by methods of putting it out there through like advertisement and to like buying spots on the internet or TV. But if you don't have that, sure, you can say whatever you want, but if you're like speaking into an empty elevator, what difference is it going to make in the world, you know?
I think we just found our first really important topic, which is what is really freedom.
But what is really freedom? And freedom comes with ability, because if you don't have the ability, you don't have freedom. It's like if you tell a disabled person and there's stairs there, and then he says, hey, I need an accessibility ramp because like I can't get through these stairs, and it's like, well, you're free to either walk up the stairs or not walk up the stairs. It's like, well, if they had the ability to do it but they don't, it's like then you are, you know, limiting their freedom.
Have you ever watched this really dark movie called Cloud Atlas?
No.
Okay,
I
it's
have seen
not.
Cloud Atlas.
I don't know if I really recommend it at all because there's
very
just
long.
a lot of. It's very long. It's very dark, and it seems to be trying to explore this idea of freedom and enslavement. But then I feel like it doesn't really go anywhere. And then I had to watch them like talk in like they had to talk in a made up language, you know, to show that they were from the future.
I've seen Cloud Atlas, and there's actually
Okay.
a show on Netflix called Altered Carbon, and I think that does better justice to what is freedom, because Altered Carbon's main concept is everyone can live and die in as many bodies as they want. Their soul travels in this disk of data, and that's how we defeated death in this universe. And it discusses how freedom is described with such a powerful technology available, and how some people believe that death is freedom.
I mean, if you think about like video games, like the thing that makes video games so appealing is that you like extra lives, but you know, in the real world, like you get some kind of health problem, it's like you don't respawn. It's not like things. So then when older people want to know, like, oh, like, why are all these young people addicted to these games? It's because you have freedom in this, digital world of the game, because the consequences don't have staying power. Like, you can lose, you can like crash your plane or your car, or get into a lot of trouble, and then kind of like reset it and do it another way. Whereas in, you're like here, like in the real world, like you don't kind of get those chances. Like, but I mean, like, if like you create a place where like young people can go, like for instance, like and do the things that they really love, like if we had like more recreation spaces in our cities and stuff where people can just like go and experiment and have fun, you'd see a lot less young people addicted to like having fun digitally, and they would just have more fun in the real world. But it's like some of our cities, or I don't know, even like, rural areas, we built in such a way where there's no like space to just enjoy or have fun. It's mostly like office buildings and like shopping malls, and and if you don't have money, you can't even participate in this game that we call life. But if you just buy a video game like for one time for like $50 or $60 and it has replay value, that's why,
Well, sure. Video games give us a chance to, make mistakes and then just try again. And life doesn't always give you that chance. You do something wrong, or there's a mistake, something happens, at any moment you could be actually gone. And so life is certainly precious for that reason. That's the reason that people need to, exercise more empathy for everybody else.
And the beauty of the freedom dividend is like, let's say you like opened up a business venture and then it went belly up. Freedom dividend is like the extra life in.
Hello?
The freedom dividend is way more than that. There's a concept in game theory about incomplete and complete games, where you know all the information that's being on the board, or you only know parts of it.
Mhm.
And real life is a very, very incomplete game where you're given only a handful of pieces, hardly anything to play with. And that's what the freedom dividend really does, is it supplements the game pieces.
Right. And if you think about it even further, like usually a tutorial in a video game is like 30 minutes, maybe an hour tops. But the tutorial that we get for life is like 12 fucking years of public schooling, and like sometimes like we extend the tutorial to 4 more years of college. This is like the worst fucking tutorial on the face of the earth. They've done a terrible job.
Ariel, there's actually some really interesting news coming out of the tech sector that Google is possibly going to upend college courses by providing a monthly subscription to their education software that they use for their own employees.
Yeah.
So companies themselves are just going to stop seeing value in college degrees as
that doesn't make me happy.
Relevant.
But like for all the people who already got it, it's like they were duped. Like,
well,
oh no, I don't think it was
Well,
duped. There's
yeah.
still very good institutions out there, just as there are very bad institutions.
Right.
And the knowledge you got is still the knowledge you got,
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
but I think that's great news, Sheridan. I haven't heard that. That's fantastic. I really hope that comes to pass. That will be good for society and the world.
Oh yeah, it's going to really change stuff up, especially when companies start seeing these Google courses and Khan Academy courses as equivalent to GED or to an associate's degree.
100%. But what pisses me off about companies and all of them is that they're so detached from the rest of the kind of like society that they live in, it's like so ridiculous that like schools and these kind of like companies and institutions like aren't even talking with each other. And what really pissed me off when I was a student at Santa Monica College was that we had this thing called KCRW. We had like a public radio that broadcast like right out of the college. And I was taking broadcasting classes at the college, but then they were like, no, we don't want any broadcasting students in here. It's like, what the hell? Like, seriously? You know, it's pretty ridiculous, like how we are given like so little resources and intelligences to like take on life.
So the thing about what you're talking about is that this tutorial that you're talking about is actually designed by our society. Like we have a blueprint for how we train our children up into adults, and the blueprint is terrible. So this is something that we actually can redesign, and people realize that about life is that laws and social structures are things that people design and people can control, and we can change them. You know, it's not like you just it's not like you're trying to change all of nature. You know, you're trying to change human things, human endeavors, human institutions. So we can go in and say we don't want to have mandatory maybe K through 12. Because what is the point of training people to sit all day?
Right. But when you have like rotten, wrinkled up slime balls like Mitch McConnell in charge of things, and like he never, you know, like looks at anything that comes across his desk. What is that? It's like having
that's more of the danger, the rigidity of our system, because our system is pretty all right for the low technology we had only a couple hundred years ago. It seems like it's the best idea we had at the time, and we just haven't updated anything.
Basically, think about like all the, you know, like poop and snot kind of like collecting in like a pipe that your bathroom, and that's basically like Mitch McConnell, and nothing is like getting through. And all these other old people, like
but name calling's not going to change anything, right? So, but like what we're saying is like the evolution is starting because we have technology, and we have to say now that we have, you know, a bit more understanding and footing in this world to evolve the systems together. And I think that like literally it's happening right now. We have that ability and we are working on it currently. And honestly, I think there's a way around politics. I think if we just collectively work together as communities, we won't need politicians as much because they're supposed to just be, you know, dictating what we say, but they're just dictating what they want.
At that point of organization, it's easier to vote out and vote in people who will pass what we want. And then you're just replacing politicians like the system wants.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of it is also like apathy. I mean, like, it is people that vote for these incumbents. And for the life of me, like, I'm never going to understand how so many incumbents keep getting voted back in. It just.
Oh, it really is apathy. Citizens are busy people who have to struggle to survive. That freedom dividend is so much more than free money. It's people able to participate in politics and realize how fucked they're getting.
Right.
He was not being abstract or talking about metaphor when he said he wants to unfuck us. It was very, very literal.
Yeah. But you know, let me just tell you what I learned. Kind of like the epiphanies that I've had that I put on Facebook Live. It's that, you know, inadequacy and our feelings of inadequacy is actually a business model, because who's going to buy more things to make them feel whole?
I'd actually like to posit the mirror reflection of that. Businesses profit off of a human need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, but like the true beauty in life, if I must say, doesn't come from the reward that you want from going through the work you do. It's the work in and of itself being the reward, being the enjoying the process, you know.
So, I want to jump in about something I heard this week, which, I haven't done my own personal investigation, but they were doing their own personal investigation, and I'm just relaying at this point. So, has anyone heard of QAnon, or I think that's what it's called? But anyway, essentially, there was like nobody running for city council in this area. And like 3 people who were buddies were like, you know what, let's run for city council. And they won. But like, that's what's happening all over our country. And then there's some people who believe some really crazy conspiracy theories out there, right? Like, how many people believe in conspiracy theories these days?
Well,
You don't even know it's true, right?
I think John Oliver did a really good distillation of the reason we're seeing such a spike and all that. It's because we're quarantined and we have the internet.
I think it was
Blame the internet and people's worst, worst.
Well, I mean,
I don't
people
know,
are
side.
feeling lonely, and we're reaching out through the internet on forums, and not everyone has a decent enough background to understand the research on the internet or how to research on the internet. So they may be finding stuff and thinking it's true when it's just not.
Do you mean
And that's what
people's
we're
worst
afraid of.
inclinations?
I think there's a lot of false information out there. Like, even now, when I'm scrolling, I'm like, I don't even know if this is true anymore. The whole hogwash party, is it truth or is it hogwash? At this point, some of this
I
stuff
mean-
seems like it should be hogwash.
Well, there's a lot of money to be made in like lies and deception and like selling people a dream. I mean, selling people a dream is like the biggest moneymaker of all. It's like,
I think we've had that for centuries, though, through theater and entertainment. We've just
Yeah.
allowed it to become so mass media without any regulation on our politics.
I mean,
Without any
seriously.
ability or support to citizens to engage in politics respectively.
Thus, we have the Trump presidency. I mean,
know.
it's just the natural evolution of this nonsense was going to get us here one way or another. I mean, like we don't appreciate stopping and thinking and like having calm, rational conversations. In kind of like a world of instant gratification and everybody wanting to be stimulated and infotainment. No one wants to listen to anything if it doesn't entertain them within like 10, 15 seconds.
Well, I think this QAnon phenomenon has been around for a lot longer than just now, and all of a sudden it's rocketing to people's consciousness and getting a name and all this. But I don't. Before it had a name, it's been around for a while, and so I don't think it's like something new. It's just that the news media is now picking up and trying to talk about it. It's just, I think that the real problem with this administration and Trump, of course, is that everything he's so completely transparent about the bad things that he does. He comes straight out and says, there's going to be a lot of fake news because everything is fake news. And then he goes about creating all the fake news. Every day he just lies, and then that becomes the new news. And nobody can stop
It's
or turn
stunning,
away
isn't
from it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's like,
Well,
hey, let me tell you,
have you
I know
seen
there's a
what
problem.
happened
You know
last
why?
week?
Because I am the problem, and that's why I can fix it. And people go,
He-
yeah, that makes
right.
sense.
He's always
It's
telling you exactly what the
amazing.
problem is. Yeah, and it's going to be him creating it. So
But
then he
did
says,
you
there's
guys
going to
see
be
what
all this
happened?
cheating when the elections come. And what's happening is he's creating the cheating. He's going to go out and teach people how to cheat
He's
right
very
in front of you.
literally doing this. Have you guys seen his most recent rally? He literally was telling his supporters at a rally to vote by mail and then go vote in person to test the system.
I mean,
He is encouraging millions of his supporters to commit voter fraud.
that's why I'm so glad that they opened up this People's Party and People's Convention, because like we would have never ended up with Trump if our
Yeah,
political
if everyone was engaged, we would never have ended up with Trump. But that's the problem. Not
Exactly.
everyone is engaged due to apathy, financial inability, or straight up voter suppression.
Right. And the funny thing is, it's like that, like the Democrats was like, wasn't it great, like the way things were? And it's like, no, that brought us Trump. So it's like we can't do that. It's like, okay, so that's why like because when you go to a supermarket, it's not, or let's say you go to like Baskin Robbins 31 flavors, it's not just like vanilla and chocolate. It's
no,
like,
let's go back to the video game analogy. I think that's a bit simpler. It's like when you're at the end of a fun video game and you fuck up and your last save point is just before your fuck up. So you are eternally fucking up. There's no proper way to save before that fuck up. You just keep going back and you'll fuck up again.
Like you jumped off the cliff and then you saved while you were falling.
Essentially, that's what it feels like with the Biden presidency. They want to just send us back to the garbage.
Right, exactly. But then the people's movement wants to do like a hard reset. Then
Yeah,
at least
reset
like,
the game. It was a good run. Let's just go.
Like we got to take it out, you know, blowing it,
blow the dust out.
back in.
So what game should we?
Oh man, I hope the Twitch audience at least gets the blowing into an NES cartridge.
It's very simple. The game of capitalism. I mean, look at what we've done in the last half decade. All of our economic policy has been structuring to provide perceived stability by propping up larger and larger institutions. I say we just give people money and pull back all the government subsidies to corporations and let them fall. Let smaller businesses pick up the pieces and try again.
And then I also heard that, like, speaking of games, like GameStop has become a zombie company. You know, it's funny. Like when I was younger, I always wanted to like work at a GameStop, but then I saw these horror stories on YouTube, and I'm like, it's funny. Yeah.
So with all these like different game analogies and stuff, like, and we're talking about just give everyone money, like, I think it's something we can actually step into if we just created like an app where we share in the rewards of what other people are making if they help contribute, right? And like stuff like that is in the works. Don't get me wrong, I've been finding them. There's more than one even, which has been interesting. But I think theoretically, if people plug into Skillshare apps where they're like, oh, this is the skill I'm missing. Here, you help me develop the skill, and then like maybe be an advisor and a mentor, and eventually like, oh, now it's something I can actually release. Because part of the problem with all the stuff that I've been finding, the really good quality stuff just needs marketing, right? Essentially, like that's the lack of freedom. They don't have marketing. They don't have people sharing it so that it gets out there because of money, right? And so you almost have to find people who are willing to take the time to like pro bono work until like a payoff happens, because a lot of these people have like bad credit. They can't get a loan, right? They can't get a loan. I can't get a loan. I think I could create some beautiful stuff in this world, but like for me, money is not something that's coming in, right? And so I've been finding all these people, but like who's good at marketing? It's TV, it's movies, right? But then they're in their own little cool kids club, right? It's so hard to infiltrate. Don't get me wrong, I'm doing it. I think it's possible because like I'm proof of concept, right? But it's so hard. But then there's even cool kid groups and YouTubers, okay? And it's just like penetrating these like boundaries is so stupid. But
Yeah.
now it has this like great equalizer called the pandemic, right? And everybody's at work and they're like, shit, now what? I'm a has-been. All right, yeah, let's reinvent what we're doing.
Well,
let's evolve.
It's interesting you brought that up, because I think there's even like a cool kids club within our Yang Gang, for God's sake, which is kind of like, you know, annoying, but it's like Faye, you got on, Doney, you got on Mindful Skeptics podcast, and like I mean I met with Paget face to face plenty of times here, like right here in LA, even was on some of her live streams, but I'm still waiting for like an actual interview, you know, and
There definitely is a cool kids club in the YouTube group, but that's okay. I'm helping us get into that, right? Because you're right, I did get interviewed by boys. But like, I think that's part of the thing is like it should be easy to work with these people, right? Because we have quality. There's no denying our quality.
and if there's anywhere where like this kind of like cool kids club should not exist at all, it should be within the Yang movement, because the Yang movement is like everyone has inherent value. So, you know, and then we even managed to make hierarchies in like we're so mad at the current structure for like leaving the people behind and deeming them as unworthy, that the Yang presidency wanted to kind of like equalize that. But within the Yang movement, we kind of have that. So it's like a microcosm in this huge macrocosm.
Well, you know, it really it boils down to this, I realized. It is a matter of skills and a matter of team members and understanding the structure necessary to even have a following like theirs, like the Cool Kids Club, if you will. Because, you know, I entered Boyce's Discord chat. Right. And it's all organized. And I'm a part of Paget's Discord chat and it's all organized. Right. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, that's how they're managing this thing. Right. That's what it boils down to is they have these little tools that are helping them. And we don't have those tools yet. Right. We don't have like a Patreon to have like exclusive things. People don't feel special trying to come onto our show. They're excited because wow, I'm invited on a podcast. That's a great incentive, especially since we've had some really awesome people on, right? But because we don't have like certain cool people, we haven't entered the awareness of other groups, right? But like that's okay. We just need cheerleaders outside of our podcast talking about us while we're not online, right? But we also aren't doing things that they are doing, which is like clipping smaller clips. We aren't doing these things. If we were, I think we would have more audience, right? And like all the advice from all my advisors is podcasts are outdated. You need to clip it. The attention spans of people are short. So like give them 2 minutes at least, right?
Well,
and like
yeah. I mean, haven't we been talking about setting up our Twitch account so it propagates clips to our YouTube automatically? We keep talking. I'm not sure if this has happened for us yet. We're a bit of a pirate ship as an organization. Has it not? Do you know? Koo, do you know? My co-producer.
Yeah, our clips can. Yeah, you have to. All you have to do is click the button.
So clips propagate to YouTube from Twitch.
You have to click. You just click the button after it's done.
Great.
After you clip it, you have to do one extra step.
So listeners can clip just as easily as us. So if you are a listener and you'd like to contribute to the cause of winning a basic income for the world, you know, starting probably with whatever country you're in, probably America, but whatever. Maybe not. Anyway, it's a tangent. ADHD. You can clip. Our audience, if you're listening, you can, and you hear something you think was impactful, make a note and go back, make a clip in Twitch. Anyone can do it. Anyone listening on our Twitch can do it. Twitch.tv/ShangangRoundtable. And that clip will go automatically. And propagate on our YouTube. So,
and see that's
yeah. And
that's
then
the
you
thing.
can share whatever moved you with other people. So hopefully that will be viral, maybe. You know, yeah. So go on, Faye.
These people that are listening are essentially our fans, and with other groups of people, they're like, "Oh wow, I really liked that," and they clip it, right? And so like having ultra fans helps the process, right? Because people are already listening and like, "Ooh, this is a good thing," right? I mean, I've been looking for our fans, if I can be honest, and I like it's very hard to find them, but like I might be able to so what I'm finding out about the movie industry is it's really tough on them right now. They're like, where did all the jobs go? Like that's what I'm finding out, right? Like from behind the scenes, they're like, okay, well they don't know what to do, right? And like so if you've been watching and paying attention to Zoom calls, now it's all these old movie actors reading old scripts. Okay, so that's happening, and maybe some of them are live streaming to raise money or whatever, but they're like trying to reinvent themselves to some capacity. And so if there was ever a time to infiltrate this particular network of people, this is it. This is now, right?
I
And
mean,
so,
if I was an actor right now, I'd be terrified of deepfakes.
right. There's a lot of it, right? But like if we manage to get into their network, and because I need to anyway for my documentary, and I think I'm like maybe on Netflix radar officially, maybe like there are people who are within Netflix that were like, here's the actual email. I didn't email them personally, but like the creating of the meeting of collisions of worlds is happening, right? And but I need to be able to get on their Zoom calls, right? That's how we do it. We get into their group, but we almost need a third party to be like, here's a chat group. I'm gonna put you two in here. Now talk. Right? Right. And I'm trying to do that with people who are making apps right now as well, because I think, you're good at promotion, you're good at like product, like together, what do you create and give to the world, right? But like that means orchestrating meeting of schedules, and we already know how difficult it is to schedule people. Like it's a pain, right? I don't need to tell you guys that. But anyway, I'm ranting.
Well, obviously, we need to have more podcast meetings so we can talk about our podcasts. But I think getting back to some of the topics we were talking about before, without the universal basic income, people really can't exercise their freedoms. I mean, there's going to always be people who are going to be cooler than others. They're just born naturally more beautiful. They're born into a life of wealth. They're born into, an educated family that even if they don't have, other means, they might be taught something by their parents. They're born into a whole parent, a whole family group with extended family that supports them. So it's just, you're never going to equalize people, right? So there'll always be people who are more skilled or better at something, and you're just going to have to deal with that. But there is something that humans can do for each other, which is we can equalize, we can provide this universal basic income and equalize the ability to access certain things, right? Nobody should be without medical care. We've already decided this. I think somewhere in our society, everybody really understands that there should be nobody who's, decided, well, because you're poor, you should just die from whatever you got, right? If you have something that we know how to treat, we should try to treat you. That's why we've made our emergency rooms accessible to everybody with or without payment options, right? They have to treat you if you show up and you really have a problem. They can't even ask you if you have I've been to the emergency room and I've said, do I really need to see somebody about this? And they can't tell you. They are legally bound to not, they can't tell you whether or not you, because that might give them a chance to deny someone care. So, so if we've made that decision, then also we probably should also decide the place to live. I mean, there are certain basics where, well, what's the point of providing them an emergency room if you're just going to send them back out to be in the elements and come right back into the emergency room? If we decided that we're going to house people who are prisoners because they committed some sort of crime, but we're going to keep them alive, we're going to pay for every single thing they need. Well, then why wouldn't we do that for people who've committed no crime, who just, are poor or are less cool than somebody else, right? So basically, that universal basic income is necessary for the exercise of any type of freedoms.
I think we need like a UBD. It's like universal basic decency. It's just like everyone should be of the opinion of that everyone just deserves basic needs in this day and age as a given. And I think like if somebody is not of that opinion, they're a barbarian in my eyes. It's like they're a savage.
Well, as a parent, right, I have to teach my kid like what's right and wrong, what's good and bad. And so there's constantly discussion about, well, you should be quiet now while I'm podcasting. or something like that. Please don't talk while I'm podcasting. But say he doesn't do anything I ask him, and he's just very willful and refuses to be anything that I want him to. That doesn't mean my child shouldn't grow up and should be, still should, is, well, maybe we should just get rid of this one. No, there's no human that has no value. And you can't, and that's what freedom is really about, right? You can't force people to do what you want them to do or what you
Right.
or any of that.
And people deserve a chance to change, to evolve, to grow. And when we don't allow that, it's like we're stealing a person's future. We're stealing a person's growth. We're stealing a person's potential. And it's amazing to me how we allow people with like backgrounds that are born into wealth to like fail upwards, and we honor them for it. But a person who's striving to become better and do good for themselves, and like they hit a setback that's sometimes not even within their control, it's like we judge as like, oh, they deserve this, they must have done something. It's completely ass backwards. Completely.
Well, for some people though, like in other countries, there's sewer people. Okay, this is a real thing. They live in the sewers, right? But they do a lot of drugs. But they're in the dark, like plain dark. And sometimes normal citizens are like, oh, we're gonna do an ethnic cleansing, and they like fucking throw Molotov cocktails down those things, right? Or they'll shoot them and just kill them. Like they're somehow better, right? No, you literally force them into poverty, and the only way they can deal with their coping mechanisms is do drugs. And then you've literally shooed them out, and now they're hiding in sewers, which of course is not great for your mental health at all, right? And so you're helping perpetuate their decline in health, right? And the more you make them live in fear, the more it's going to affect their health. It's just like we are perpetuating the problem, not healing it.
Right. And it's just someone needs to shine a light, and I think that's what's really missing, because all the oxygen in the room goes to stupidity and hyperbole and outrage, while the things that are actually important go by the wayside. And that's the model of our news and our media in this country, and they are a gigantic part of the problem. They created their own monster. I mean they created Trump by giving him as much attention as they did. It's like Trump basically played them like a fiddle, because he, like, whatever he said or did, he knew he was going to get that coverage. And I mean, like, they just have to look in the mirror. It's thing. And then when we bring like a decent human being with real ideas and real compassion and a real way to help, what do they do to that person? They ignore them. They don't even acknowledge their fucking existence. And it really pisses me off.
But you know what I'm noticing, because I've somehow been able to manage to infiltrate some Trump rallies. Okay, like I'm not intentionally there. Like I just happen to be at events that are there, right? But like these people are essentially hired by him. Like it looks like all these people are getting access to his pocketbook. That's what it feels like, because people are being paid to do petitions, right? There's people who look like bodybuilders that were paid to show up, right? Like it just but when they work for a person, they're like, oh, this is the greatest person ever because they gave me a job. Look, I'm employed and I'm by people.
So
And that's
so
what
like
I'm seeing.
Trump is
Self-serving
giving
bias
them
determines so much of our politics. It's just
Trump,
disgusting. What do you
Trump
think
is
about it,
giving
Jason?
them freedom dividends.
Yeah, I guess that's why Yang was the real biggest threat as identified by the Trump campaign, because Yang was literally going to employ everyone in the country for $1,000 a month.
Right.
But people People were saying that he's paying people to vote for him, when all the politicians pretty much do exactly that.
Right. Yeah.
That's advertising. That's how insidious our capitalism is.
Well,
even with our
well, well,
politics.
like it's like politicians are professional beggars. Like
My favorite, yeah, that's what they do for most of their day is call people to donate.
We like get mad, and then they say like, oh, we can't give handouts, we can't give money to people who just like didn't earn it. But like politicians don't earn it, they beg for it. And it's like, how dare you ask for a donation, and you have a home and you have money and you have like connections, and then we judge the person on the street, but you're right here asking for money that you didn't earn from people who may not even know you, and you have all your needs met and then some.
But they
It's
also look
ridiculous.
like they're quality, right? They present themselves because they're going to do something for you, right? And so, look, I'm in a business suit. You should give me money, and I'm going to spend it how you
Like,
say
well,
you
well,
want.
well
But
first,
maybe.
the rule is you do the thing first, and then we give you the money, right? That's what but then when the citizens say do the same with us with the freedom dividend, first you need the money to build something out of your life. Then these assholes have the nerve, who they themselves are begging for donations. They have the nerve to say like, oh no, that's going to encourage laziness. It's like
How
asshole.
many
Like,
politicians tested their policies during the campaign?
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ariel, I love how you like to bust the narratives that control all of us. I mean, these narratives go far beyond politicians, though. I mean, the average person believes all of these things. They believe that when the politician asks for money, or when a corporation asks for money, they're providing a service. But a beggar on the street, when they ask for money, you're just giving them, some sort of philanthropy that you get nothing out. But it's not true, is it? When you donate to somebody on the street, you still prop yourself up somehow. You're giving yourself a little pat on the back.
Right.
It gives you a sense of worthiness that's different from I bought a chair on Amazon or something.
Yeah, or I really helped. I mean, like, I think one of the most beautiful things to me is that, like, when you make an investment into something and then you see that thing grow and shine, like buying my drone and like making videos with it, it's like, and then watching the thing that you invested into kind of like leave a legacy, or kind of like thing, and you're like, oh well, like one of the best feelings is like, if it wasn't for me, like this wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't be like changing so many things. I mean, that's one of the best feelings, and it's the same with like people who are struggling or people who need help. But we have vultures out there that prey on the vulnerable, and instead of actually like helping people who are struggling, they're like, oh, buy my product or buy my online course, and like the person already doesn't have anything and they want that person to go into debt. It's so gross. Like, all these dynamics are so gross.
So, I was thinking about this the other day because of the dilemma I had personally faced myself, and it was in relation to someone else who gave money. And the dilemma was I wanted to give some money to this gal, and a different friend of mine was like, well, she is back on drugs, yet she's got 2 kids, right? And I'm like, okay, well, if I gave her $100, do I trust her to use this money on maybe her or her kids, or is she going to use it on drugs, right? But that's not my decision to make, right? So, and it's not even that much money technically, right? But this whole dilemma happens because, like, do I trust people with this money, but that's like what society is doing right
Whoa,
now.
whoa,
They're
whoa.
like, on a large scale, do I trust these people to spend this money on what they need to, or are they just going to do more drugs and their kids are going to suffer more, right? And
Well,
like,
yeah.
what's the worst case scenario though?
Larry Kudlow, who's one of like the White House economists or some bullshit like that. He's basically in a position that he
he's
doesn't.
the economic advisor to the White House.
Oh yeah, okay, so I'm right. I stand corrected. And so he talked about his battles with being addicted to alcohol and drugs. So I don't get it. But he came from a well-to-do family, and you know, so
I want to throw another wrinkle in here too before we get too far off. It's also possible, and this is never an outcome we discuss as possible or realistic, that this single mother who is self-medicating to deal with the extreme stress of having to do something that the human animal is not built to do, which is raise little children pretty much alone. That's very, very stressful. And then on top of it, be in poverty. Even with money, it's stressful. So if she is taking drugs to cope, perhaps what happens when she gets $100, she takes those drugs, she's able to cope another week or whatever, and her kids are taken care of because she had the money and did drugs. We never talk about that possibility, but it happens. Yeah. Drugs are a tool. We can't let them stigmatize the people who use them.
Yeah,
right.
That's a big thing.
Like they wouldn't be used in mass so much in the first place if all these structures were crumbling around us. I mean, like it's ridiculous. Like they did that experiment with like, what is it, mice and rats, and they had like one bottle filled with water and one filled with cocaine, and of course they went for the one with cocaine. But then when they introduced like a bottle of water and a bottle of cocaine and a theme park, they're like, oh, let's go to the theme park. Let's not do cocaine. But if you don't have the money to go to a theme park and the drugs are cheaper, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
the experiment for reference is called Rat Park. So if anyone wants to Google that, and also we're going to add it to the BART document.
Didn't they actually also introduce other rats too? Like it wasn't lonely. Like isn't that part of it? I feel like.
Yeah, it had a social group and lots more to do than just hit the morphine water button. That's not a very.
Video games are an inexpensive entertainment option, and they are not what we go to naturally. They are simply the cheapest option in this capitalist system.
It's definitely a coping mechanism, and that's what's happening with everybody. We're trying to cope with what's going on right now because it's freaking hard out there, and like nothing's going right. And even when we do try, we get so much pushback that it's almost like exhausting and almost makes you want to give up, right? And so
the gross thing is the people who actually do want to like improve their lives and try something and create something, it like so many obstacles are put in their way. And not only that, like there's no guidance, there's no help. And it's like, oh, like why don't you go do something productive? It's like, well, when I tried to do it, like here, okay, so this is a funny thing. When I was at my cousin's place and like I started flying my drone for fun and I did it for a while, and then like, I get pushback like, oh, like maybe you like flying that drone too much. Well, am I doing heroin? Am I doing coke? It's like, what the hell?
What the hell does that mean? Like, what should you be doing instead of flying the drone, right? Like, no one has the right to tell you that. That's ridiculous. That's bullshit.
I should be socializing, talking about something that I'm not interested in.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, I mean, I see it comes from a place of good intention at least, but yeah. I mean, do what you feel.
Right, exactly. It's like I hate this kind of thing where it's like, oh, we know what's best for you and like this kind of crap. And then I got even told like, oh, you talk about Andrew Yang too much with the family now. And then I'm like, okay, like, but they're not bringing up any other topics that they want to talk about. Basically, it's like I bring it up and I said if they have a topic on their mind that they really want to talk about, okay, like we can switch topics to that. Like I'm not like against that, but like, oh, like, okay, either I'm flying my drone too much, or I'm talking about Andrew Yang too much, or it's like, let a fucking person be happy without any of your judgments.
That's why we need to not pay attention to their judgments and live our lives what we want to do, right?
It's time to just be our own parents now, you know? We got to get out from under the heels of the olds.
Right. The oldies.
Well, what is it that Marshall Rosenberg says about judgments? Something about judgments are like a tragic expression of someone's unmet needs.
Right. And you know what's people need help. They don't need your like judgments, okay? If like instead of judging, if you actually want to like provide, resources or guidance or help, that's great. If you just want to judge, put out your ass. I don't care how it sounds.
Well, you can't really offer. I've tried many times to offer people help that they don't want. Have you experienced this? Have you ever tried to help someone and they don't want it?
Yeah, sure, but I wouldn't mind, help if I can see the value in it, and if I can see if it's a good direction. If people want to help me become like an exotic dancer, I'm gonna say no, because that's not what I want. Now, if people want to help,
really help if it's not what you want? I don't know.
Right, right, exactly. So it depends on what kind of help. Now, if people want to help me with my drone business, all right, okay, yeah, I'm open to that. But that's the thing. It's like they provide unsolicited, unasked for help instead of the help you actually do want.
Right. So help and judgment, I think, are right, because you've decided somebody needs this help, you're going to help them. But actually, all of these things have to be internally motivated from the other person.
Well, that's our means testing, right? It's like people might need help because their fridge is broken down, but you give that person food stamps. Well, when they buy the food with the food stamps, they can't keep it. But if they actually got the fridge that they needed with just money that's liquid, then they can keep the freaking food. And like the way our systems are designed by these goddamn fucking idiots, it's mind-boggling. But we're changing that.
Well, so that's why I think we cross over. People progressive left or whatever. The other side. It's like no, there really isn't like just a position or just a liberal position. I think if you look at how to really help people, first of all, you'd have to really be you'd have to communicate better than our government does, right? We have to find out what people really want. And then second of all, if you want to provide help that's actually useful, right, you have to also consider just maybe relaxing all the judgments that we make with our laws. We've made so many things illegal and require so many certifications in order to do anything of value.
Yeah. Like
you can't help somebody sell a house without a real estate license. You can't get somebody. You can't even take care of another child. If you have more than one family's children, you probably have to get some kind of license to do it.
That's why I hate the idea of like the political left and the political right. Like left and right to me are directions. They're not ideologies. They're turn signals. I mean, it's so stupid. And it's like there's so many shades and there's so many gray areas where it's not just a like if situation or there's so many nuances that we like overlook, and it's crazy. It's because we're so polarized. But like yeah, even for me, like if I want to fly a drone commercially for money, I need a 107 license. Now it's not too expensive, but still it's like why have people pay for that? why should I have to pay to take a test? Why can't I just take, Yeah.
Yeah, I think there must be ways to somehow also, protect things that are group value, such as the environment, or protecting or providing, healthcare for everybody, which is a group, it's a group necessity without infringing on individual. So I think the important part of that is understanding the matter of consent, right? So we need to learn a lot more from consent culture and incorporate that into governance. So, for
Right.
example, in Taiwan, I'm going to give an example of trying to get people to comply taxation. So they have sales tax, right? But in order to collect their sales tax, they have a national receipt. Okay, it's a special paper that is printed by the government, and every single one of them is right. And if you're a official tax-paying corporation, then you will get, batches of receipts from the government. These are their official receipts. And every time somebody buys something at your store that you're going to actually pay taxes on, it will be printed on this special receipt. And so so you will get a serial number, okay, that's unique to that receipt. So I can buy something at McDonald's for $2. I get a receipt with a serial number on it. And that serial number then becomes a national lottery. Every 2 or 3 months, I think every 2 months, a set of numbers comes out. And if the last 3 or 4 of your digits match, the new numbers, then you win a prize. If you match 6, you win the grand prize or something like that. So I find that to be an interesting way to get people to comply, because you can always buy stuff from each other with cash. Nobody's regulating that. And if you do that with no receipt, the government's not coming after you for taxes either. They found a way to very simply, just take care of that.
I think you hit on something very interesting, Faye. It's like, how can like the government actually make participating in being a citizen something that you want to do, and something you don't see as a drag, something you don't see as something you don't see as just like a pain in your neck? If we had really intelligent people making government services or participating as a citizen something people found like engaging and exciting, we like be great.
We just need to adopt things like they're doing. We need to change the incentives anyway, right? This is obvious, but we need to figure out how to do that for everything that's failed us and everything that's actually causing more problems, right? People who find alternative ways to get around it. Because we're really, I mean, like, just take school, for example. We know how to cheat. We get really good at cheating, actually. That's not the intended lesson, though, right? We're learning the wrong thing. That's what we're learning. We're learning.
Or maybe we should stop calling it cheating when we get help to do our homework.
I mean, it's
maybe getting help is what some people need in order to learn.
Right. well, in business, like cheating is called like teamwork. Like serious, like what kind of business? And then when you grow up, it's who you know. It's not what you know. Well, isn't that cheating? Like it's like it actually does more harm than good. Like the things that we come out from this stupid institution with. I mean, it's, I don't know. It's just great.
We just have to keep evolving, right? Like gamifying all the different systems. Okay, so there's this studio called High Five Studios. Okay, I don't know if they're a YouTube group and they're amazing, by the way. They're fun to watch, right? And essentially, it's jobs where they just like they're all in one office building, but they're all working on their own little podcasts, right? But some of them are just like, adding value to someone else's day by, surprising them with some kind of like beautiful like cake pop. Okay. But then there's also just like this colliding of worlds that is so beautifully maintained, because it's all like nobody's necessarily better than another person. I mean, obviously the guy Matthias, who like is in charge of it. He makes most of the money, but like people enjoy going to work, right? And like they're able to share their lives with the world, and the world loves them. They're famous
And
YouTubers at this point.
that's wonderful. And that goes into, I think, like Faye, what you said about consent culture. It's so I think like that's what this country was founded on. And the consent had to do with no taxation without representation. That's basically well, we don't have that. We have taxation without representation. We're being taxed, and the systems that we have don't represent who we are. So and you think about being really, really young, like there's not a consent culture. It's like you listen to me because I'm older than you, and that's why you listen to me, and you don't need a reason. And that's like one of the things. And then the teachers do the same thing. Don't argue with me. I'm the teacher. I'm like the god, and like you're the slave. So shut up and just do what I say. And then we grew up.
I think part of this is related to the trauma we've had as children, though, right? If you were powerless as a kid, you're finally an adult and you have power and you have a position where you're like, okay, now you have to listen to me, right? Instead of this, like, let's share our toys, let's play together, right? If we were just like, if we miniaturized ourselves and looked at ourselves as if we were children, what would this whole scenario look like? It would look like someone's hoarding all the toys. Okay, that's what it would look like. And we could visually see that there's a problem, right? And all the other kids are crying because of this one bully. And if the parent comes in, hey, like, let's fix the situation, let's facilitate a solution. But no, we have someone crying with all the toys and be like, mine, okay, we're being giant children right now. That's what it boils down to.
I think
Well, that's the thing, is
Jeff Bezos, isn't it?
right.
Like,
but
isn't he that
the
kid with all
viewpoint
the...
from the bully is, it's my toy and I don't have to share it with you. The end. which is not necessarily wrong in our society. It's that we have these ideas about what is property, and so it's always right for the property owner to maintain their dominance of that piece of property. Don't anybody try to violate my property. And I think that's where I think actually we meet pretty well with the very conservative right people. I don't know, where they're all about, this is mine and I don't have to give it to you if I don't want to. So don't make government tell me what I can and can't do with what's already mine. And, oh, I worked so hard for it, and so this, I deserve to keep anything I have. Whereas, and that's really a matter of consent. It is a matter of consent. Like we have to come around to a way of talking about, all of these things in a way that we can slowly come to the center, and actually move forward together.
I actually want to bring up something that came up in a conversation I had with someone recently, and it was kind of like a bit eye-opening for myself too. But okay, let's go back to imagining ourselves as children. Okay, so I was observing a friend's kids one time, and I turned to her and I was like, how do you get your kids to share? Because one of her kids was on the autism scale, and on the spectrum. And so I'm just like, how do you do this? And she said something that kind of like, she's like, it's not until they really feel like it's theirs do they want to share it, right? Maybe that toy is actually, maybe their parents are fighting and this is their favorite teddy bear and that's their, like, it makes them feel safe, right? And you're telling them they have to share their teddy bear. And
yeah, I'm against mandatory sharing.
Right? Like, and so you disregard this person's emotional, like, need to feel safe, when their world is chaotic, to share a toy with somebody just because they want the toy, right? And if a kid is like maybe doing okay at home and feels secure and is used to sharing toys, like all they do is share toys, right? Then what would end up happening is everyone's playing, right? And maybe like giving them like, how much more time do you need? I'm not going to share it today. Okay, we should be able to respect that, right? That should be a consent that the child gives, right? But we don't even facilitate conversations like that, if you will, right? And on our personal level. And so like we're trying to ask people to share their toys when maybe their world's
seriously, like like adults are just children with money. Like that's what I think it is.
Yep. I mean, the toys just get bigger and bigger,
They're
and it's sort
children
of the
with
question
status.
is, yeah, it's a question of at what point is it really enough, you know? And you can make an argument that you could be as wealthy as Jeff Bezos and still not feel like you have enough. And the problem is, people who don't want to share are people who don't have enough.
Well,
They don't have
then
enough.
then it becomes an addiction to dopamine. It's interesting, like what I heard. It's like for most of like our history, like like things were controlled by people with just like serious dopamine addictions, and people who got in the way of their dopamine addictions were killed, were like murdered. It's like they're addicted and it's hurting everybody, but nobody better get in their way. And it's funny. I actually, like, there was this website that I visited. It was like called Lylel's Impediments to Self-Actualization, and it had like all this research about like how like Wall Street and their dopamine addictions to like quick profits is like doing so much. But then like when you want to get in the way of these people's dopamine addictions, you are putting yourself in danger, and that's what's scary about it.
So I drew another like comparison when I was doing this talk about children and toys. So something happens when you're non-monogamous. Okay, so if you share a partner, right, with another person, there's jealousy, like envy or whatever, right? There's this like feeling of like, no, this is mine, right? Because they make you feel safe, right? And if nobody else is intermixed with that relationship, you're going to be safe, right? Yet really there's no way to feel safe unless you love yourself and you meet those needs. And but like if you're not feeling like a need is not being met if you're feeling all these extra things, right? And so it's really hard to share another person unless you're really secure with yourself and or have learned tools to actually like cope with it and in a healthy way. Maybe you do acts of self-love, maybe you take a hot bath while they're out on a date, right? It's really difficult to some capacity, but like maybe you train yourself into being like, it's okay. And when you're feeling these extra needs, you recognize that the signal is not I need this person, it's I have an unmet need and we need to talk. Maybe they've been on their phone the whole time when they're like hanging out with you and your love language is not being spoken. Maybe it's quality time. And like a lot of this is your love languages are not being spoken, right? Maybe and for people who don't know the love languages, physical touch, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, and gifts. Okay. And so like if your love language is not being spoken because they're speaking it with somebody else, you're just like, oh, why not me, right? But see, we have started evolving into sharing people, right? I've met many people within the non-monogamous realm, right? They call them polycules sometimes, just like because like this person's dating this person, but they're also dating this person. But it becomes like this network of learning how to share, right? And you have to have communication, like really upfront communication. You have to be able to identify your own needs. You might need to do some research in order to understand how to be non-monogamous, okay? And also date your species. We're not all built to be non-monogamous. Some of us really do need the monogamy, right? We need a primary who's there to help fulfill that need because it does feel good, right? But it's that dopamine, if you will. And
Right.
and if you can't get that dopamine elsewhere, then you're very
Right.
dependent on this person.
And you know what else is hilarious? It's like some people, they just like have a lot of stuff, but it's like they don't appreciate the stuff that they have, or they don't they or maybe it's more fun to have stuff and to share it with someone in an interesting way. Because this was funny. I remember that like that there was a guy. I went to the Los Angeles Public Library, and he had this thing that could play like all sorts of video games that were like old. And then like he let me use it, and I was playing like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, and then he's like, okay, hey, I want to join too. It's like, because it's like they see you having fun with the stuff that they already have, and they don't have that much fun with it. So then like that encourages them to want to do it too. Or it's funny. Sometimes they're like, yeah, you can take this. Like I don't really care for it that much. And then they see you having so much fun with it, then they want it back.
But that's just with the toys again, right? That's with sharing people. Maybe you have the most awesome girlfriend, but you're being super extra jealous and like, or even dismissive of this connection you have, and someone else sees the value and starts adding value, and you're like, no, I want that. That was mine. Like, and it's sharing. But that goes with money, right? So money is the whole thing of like sharing. Why don't we share money? It's just as difficult as sharing a partner.
Exactly. It's the thing. And then like we said, like think about how many Musks and Jobs and Gates that we're losing in the world because of these selfish asswipes who want to like put all these stereotypes out, Yeah. I like if we had the freedom dividend when like Nixon started it, or like let's say like we had a freedom dividend at the beginning of this country, like could you imagine like maybe we'd have space travel by now? Maybe we'd have like interstellar kind of like crazy things. Could you just imagine like the Renaissance, that thing? And that's why I'm thinking it's like we want Renaissance, not revolution. I think that's a beautiful thing. Renaissance, not revolution.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
everyone were
I like that.
self-actualized and contributing, and to their
Right.
best ability to society, we would
Mhm.
have a lot more stuff. Think of all the Einsteins that we've been robbed of
Right.
because they had to work
And
in
I
a
think
factory.
like this is it. I think just like as Europe went through its medieval times, I think like the United States has been in the medieval times ever since 2000 started. Ever since 2008, it has been like the America's dark age. America's freaking dark age. We might as well have been like the peasants in Europe and stuff like that. I think it's about time that for this Renaissance to come after this dark age.
I think
You
they
know,
will refer to this period as something akin to that in the history texts of the future. Yeah.
right?
The dark
Medieval
age of
America.
capitalism.
Yeah, it's like you can be a barbarian and a savage with like a smartphone and a computer. I mean that's truly possible. Just because you have resources doesn't make you a civilized human being. You know.
Well, what's so great about civilization sometimes? Sometimes we have this
Yeah.
idea that there's this sort of apex that we're all headed towards, when in fact we're just going in loops.
What is
We're still
civilization?
Like
humans.
We're
inverted.
questioning we're questioning the fundamental elements of our civilization because we're starting to see it is just not working for most of us. Crystal Ball said, I think just maybe yesterday on Rising, she's like, when we look at how the stock market doesn't represent the economy, and it's bald face. It's clear that that's the case, and our government just ignores that willfully.
Oh.
We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? Why are we doing
Why do we have this
these things?
government?
Why do we have the priorities we have? Why do we have the laws and the systems we have at all? This is what the beginning of the end of an era looks like.
This is the fundamentals, and it reminds me of a cartoon uh uh where the Mayans took people up there and took out their hearts and ate them, and then there was one Mayan putting his hand over the shoulder of another Mayan. He said this doesn't seem like the this may not seem like a great system, but it's the best one out there, or something like that. It's like doing that, and I mean that's the same with us in the stock market.
Yeah,
Basically, it's like this
the
ritual of taking people up and eating their hearts and saying like, but this is our tradition.
yeah.
Fuck
The
tradition.
answer
Go
to
to
that old chestnut of it's what are you gonna do? Capitalism is the best thing we got, or democracy is the best thing we got, or whatever. You can use it to any system. What people do is invent systems. We've always got more. We just haven't invented it yet. Shut up.
Right. Well, I mean that is the quality of. I actually wrote an article on it, of a lazy brain. a lazy brain. Well, just you know, like lightning takes the path of least resistance. Some people's thinking is always taking the path of least resistance because that's it. They don't
Well,
have
because it's normal. That's the
yeah,
normal. People say you think in order to not have to think. Right? So you solve
yeah,
this problem so you don't have to think.
right. People are just they're so creatively and imaginatively lazy that they don't even understand. It's kind of
Sometimes you
it's
just
sad.
have to ask the right question for them to create the right synapse in the brain, though, right? Maybe like you should be like talking about this subject and then talk about this subject, and they come to the conclusion you've been trying to aim them towards, right? And like, oh, I can do
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
I
And
think
like that
yeah.
doesn't happen.
There was a guy running in Florida. I don't know what his name was, but there was like he talked to a Trump supporter, and then he said, "Well, the like isn't what happened in 2008 socialism and communism for the corporations?" And then all of a sudden, his synapses just fired, and he's like, "Hey, hang on a second, you're right." It's like, it was funny because but you know but we lose that through the noise because a lot of the people on the left want to bring up these social more on the social justice side and like you people are racist and you people are stupid, so it's never going to happen like that. But then when they hear about Yang and Yang isn't blaming them, and then we say, well, what about the communism for corporations? Then their synapses fire, and then they make that connection, and then they can say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, that's why Yang got like the most number of disaffected Trump voters. I mean, it's not rocket science when you really think about it.
But Yang laid it out. He was like, here is how we got here. Here is where we're heading. And here are some solutions. And that like really connected a lot of different things in people's minds, right? And then a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
people are like,
beautiful.
I can make that. I can do that, right? And they're
Yeah,
like, I am finally empowered because I finally see the path I need to go down.
right,
And it's happening. People are
right.
actually taking on the torch of like, oh, this needs to be created. I
It's
got
it's
this.
a beautiful thing, and no, but then with all the other candidates, it was like just like a broken record. You know, when they say like on and on like a broken record, and I think like people are finally getting tired of it.
People are waking up because they're having a defining moment. People who've had money in comfortable situations are like, oh, wait, okay, this ain't right. Something's wrong here. But these are the people who know how to fix the problem. They just weren't aware that there was a problem, right? It's like a CEO going undercover as a janitor and realizing, oh, maybe my company's kind of crap from the bottom up, right? And they could make changes once they actually experience it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
Yeah,
it's
if
called
but
all
then
you
they want to
want
undercover
also
boss.
address the problem
It's
that
called yeah.
they didn't
You're
see in the first place. You know, like the fact that they are so removed from the day-to-day events of the people they oversee is a huge problem. It simply needs to be addressed itself. You know, that's the underlying issue, and we never seem to get there.
Well, yeah, like the undercover boss, that show. I think now we should do this with like politicians and representatives and all that stuff. Like seriously, like
just put
get,
them in a shelter, put them in a homeless shelter for a
right,
month.
yeah.
Let's see how well they handle it.
Like
I
that
bet they
that
could
that should
find a
be
lot
that
of
like
solutions
that should be like a
real.
prerequisite for like Trump and Mitch McConnell. It's like, okay, like you wanna, oh my God, just imagine like how quick things would
Yeah,
change in this country if we made that.
Faye Faye Doney. Collect this. Keep this as a plan B elevator pitch in your back pocket. Undercover congressman or
Right.
congressperson.
Right.
Undercover
like
Congress.
I
Yeah.
just
It's like
want to mention
undercover
that,
boss, but Congress. Pitch. That's the
you know,
pitch. If anyone's
just
like, I don't like the documentary, what else you got? How about this?
Yeah.
but that one is really awesome because think about it. In Chinese stories, okay, the emperor was always so the great shows that we would make about them when he's a real superhero and he dresses as a normal person among the normal people and learn about them. Same thing about Jesus. What's so special about Jesus? He walked among the poor and lived like them and found out everything there was by being there with them. And same thing with every other hero. a politician want to be a hero and go undercover. That would be perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it would be a wake-up call if, Trump went into a shelter and had to get a TB shot, right? He has to get his blood drawn, like, oh, ow, that's a thing that really happens. Yeah,
Right.
it is.
Maybe we can ask Tim
and then-
Ryan if he just
that's his story.
Maybe Tim Ryan can go to like a nursing home and just be like, because Tim Ryan is super cool. I loved
Yeah,
his presence when he was
Tim's
here. I would
cool.
love to have him back on. And Tim Ryan, if you're hearing this, you're a really great guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
So
Well, any-
it's the same story that underpins Buddhism. I mean, the original, Buddha was a wealthy person who left all of that behind and learned a lot, and became enlightened because of his journeys.
Well, you guys, I had a great time, but it is my birthday. I do have some stuff planned, but yeah. So
Hell
no,
yeah,
just-
Ariel. Get
Shall we-
outta here.
shall we,
let's
say
let you go
goodbye?
first. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
And Ariel, don't forget
Okay,
to type credit in exclamation point credit for Bart for the SEO. And
Oh,
your name.
okay.
Yeah. Before you go.
On where it says live stream chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not-
exclamation.
Not to
point.
totally break your flow. Really, happy birthday again.
Oh,
We all love you and we all appreciate you, and you've really contributed a lot to the show, and we're
Thank
very
you.
grateful for you.
So credit. Do I type anything out? My name?
Your
Or-
name is like a URL or two,
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Let's see. My
Like
name.
your YouTube and your once you type it as you say it, then that'll be your outro for today.
Oh, okay.
I did a little. I made one so that you can see how to do.
Okay, thank you, Faye.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Dictionary thinking. Okay, there we go. And then there we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so let me just say it in words. You can find me at Ariel's on Twitter. This time there's no, or is there space? Just try one with the underscore and try one without the underscore. I'm not 100% sure. And then you can
Okay.
now I have Ariel's also on YouTube, where I'm going to post all of my footage, and I'm Ariel's on Instagram without the underscore. That one I know for sure. So how you spell is ARIELS and AERIALS. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Happy birthday again. Bye.
Happy birthday, Ariel.
Bye.
Have a beautiful day.
You guys too. Bye.
Happy birthday, Ariel. Have a good day.
Oh. I think that was like the best explanation of that I've ever heard. Even if other people may have said it first, but you said it the best just now. But that's really where we've been. That's really where we were going with the people don't feel like they have enough because of out of insecurity. They always need more, and maybe that's not actually what they need, and they're not looking at the right things. So hopefully we can build a society where everybody feels cared for, just like Andrew Yang would always say. Your country loves you, your country needs you. What else does he say? Wouldn't it be great if we could all feel that,
Let's all become a little bit more like Buddha.
Yeah, like we have to define for ourselves what we really need and take just that, and don't be trying to control what other people what they want and what they're Just really look into spend a little more time thinking about ourselves. It's easy to criticize and see fault in other people. So that's actually one of the problems we have with the whole self-help type of things. I always wonder, like, people who really might need more work on themselves are not participating in it. They're not really able to. I feel like sometimes the mirror is broken, but we as a society have to build our laws, trusting people.
So you say that, and I think there are quote enlightened narcissists out there, right? Like they understand something, but they're missing a key element, right? And like I've met a couple enlightened narcissists. I was like, how is this possible? You're preaching a lot of good quality stuff, but you're not actually practicing some of it, right? And like it just baffles me how entitled they are because they feel like they figured it out, yet they like you could ask around and they're causing harm in their wake, right? And they don't see it, yet they're holier than thou because they've learned the enlightenment and the self-help. Like I don't know, I think it's possible we're all a little narcissistic, don't get me wrong, right? Like there's a little bit of that in each of us, but like some do it a little more intensely. But if they think, I mean, one time I would consider myself a healer, right? And this other person who found themselves to be a healer uh, uh, almost wanted to tell someone, no, she's not a healer, right? Like, don't trust her, don't like follow my path. And I was like, that's interesting you think that, right? When the right approach was being played out, where I'm hugging them and they're like crying, and obviously there's success happening, yet they felt like they needed to step in because they told me this, right? They like actually were open and honest about this, and I was just like, that's interesting you feel this way, right? But I can't change their perspective. But that could be part of the problem too, is people think they know the right thing and they actually want to tear other people down because they think their path is the right one. There are many paths. You can take out the trash at different ways. You can fill the dishwasher different ways, right? You can do your task different ways. Yours is not the only one, and your timeline might be different. Maybe someone needs it done this quickly, maybe someone else needs it done within a day, right? What we do for ourselves is not necessarily the same way someone else will approach it, but it's still going to get done if people put the effort into it in the mindfulness, right? I don't know, sorry,
So
rant.
yeah, no, it's great. I think the main thing is what do we do, and when we create the structures, that these structures have to keep everybody safe, even if somebody, I mean, who doesn't have vice, right? Everybody has a vice, or everybody has a personality problem or defect, or some sort of disability. They just don't know how to do this. I can't sing, I can't do something. Nobody is perfect. And so we have to build a society where all these imperfect people, difficult people in our world, still have a place and will still be safe. And the more safety we can give each person, the better their behavior will become. Just, as a matter of statistics. Let's just talk about statistical. That's why I think the leaning into math for Andrew Yang, the math is really talking about, or how to do this, a computer function or something. It's about a statistical, understanding of how people behave in general. And why don't we build a society that works for everyone? Mathematically, it works for 99.9, rather than, it works for the top 1% or the top 20%. So I think that's the kind of math that we all came. Do we want to go ahead and wrap up today, because the boy is gone and we've had a pretty good episode, I think. What do you think? Are you guys ready? I don't know if Angela's actually with us.
Yeah,
I've been here. I just was like locked in on mute.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that,
Sorry, yeah,
Angelo.
I was actually not able to respond to you because I was actually talking to Angela. I was just briefly explaining while you were asking me to reply. So I was clicked away. But yeah, I was explaining that Angela had a little background noise, so we server muted. Sorry, Angela, we server muted you at the beginning of the episode, and I think you just showed up pretty close to the end. So I don't think you were server muted for too long. Anyway, good to have you on the program.
Shale, I server muted Angelo a couple more times.
Yeah, I noticed. I like several times over the course of the show, I unmuted. I'm like, okay, maybe Angelo's going to come back. I'm going to unmute him, give him a chance to speak. He's not going to know there was ever a problem. And you were like, oh, he's been unmuted. I got to take care of that because the background noise is going to come back. We just were not on the same page. But we good intentions.
That's the
all
funny
around.
thing.
We're both doing our job, though, right?
The whole time. It's
both
just
being a good
when
producer.
you guys chose to unmute me, I didn't have much to say.
Yeah, okay. All right, I guess that's how this communication continued. So it's been a comedy of errors.
Oops.
No, it's good we're all on the ball doing our producer job. Anyway, this is a good place to leave it, like you said. Yeah. Why don't we let you do the final sign off? I'll give my sign off and I'll hand it to Doney, and then you can say goodbye to everybody. Cool. So I'm Shale Riley at SHAELRILEY on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you again tomorrow with more basic income advocacy on the Yang Gang Roundtable. Faye Doney. Passing it off to Faye Doney.
Is Sheridan here?
Faye Doney has frozen
here.
in time. I mean, we have a lovely, like, smiling face. So I thought she was just, like, bracing her fist against her smiling face and being really still. But no, she's frozen on the internet. That's fine.
And she's also muted. So.
Yeah. Perhaps she's
but not
out.
server
she did
muted.
warn that her connection would be unreliable today, so it's okay. We'll say goodbye for Faye Doney. And Faye Koo, why don't you just send us off for the show?
Okay, and Sheridan's here too. Sheridan, you want to say goodbye?
I'm sorry, I skipped you because you were quiet.
I was wondering if you've forgotten about me, Shale.
I did.
Yeah, I'm still here. You can find me on Twitter at JSaberGamer, JSABERGAMER, and on Patreon if you want to give me some money at patreon.com/notpublic.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you. And do patrons have access to your book yet? Or I don't know if you put that on there.
No, my book is not on my Patreon. I'm actually I'm trying to get through a literary agent to get it properly published.
Great. Okay.
Right now, I have a couple of different publishing agencies reading it. So hopefully one of them gets back to me like, we love it.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I see Faye is back.
Faye Doney, have you returned?
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
All right.
No, my phone overheated, so it popped me off for a second. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. We're just giving our
We're just
sign-offs.
signing off. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to give yours, Faye?
I can't
How about you?
hear you guys very well now. It's all...
We're giving our sign-offs, so would you like to give yours?
Angelo? Did you have anything you wanted to say before?
We kept it going until the very end, and then it was just like...
Good show, everyone.
The best sign-off ever. Thank you, Angela. All right,
Thanks for coming by. And thanks to all of our listeners. We really appreciate you. Hopefully you'll join us again tomorrow when we're going to have yet another beautiful open discussion. Do we have a guest tomorrow, Shale?
Yeah, we're going to have my personal friend Sully, who's asked me if he could come on and be convinced of the merits of UBI. So.
Oh, yeah. And I believe if my meeting tomorrow ends soon enough, I'll be able to join that as well.
Please do. I think you'll connect with my friend. 1 to 3 Eastern. We'll be live streaming on Twitch and YouTube. The episode will be available later this weekend on Spotify. So thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.